All right, let's talk about Aptera. They have this incredible vision, right? A car that's literally powered by the sun. It's a fantastic idea. But, and this is a big but, getting from that dream to an actual car you can park in your garage, well, that's not a sprint. It's more like a high-stakes hurdle race. And the biggest hurdles are always time and money. As we're about to see, that road is paved with some absolutely massive financial challenges. And this, right here, this is the fundamental conflict that every single revolutionary hardware startup has to face. You've got the dream on one side, a vehicle so efficient that for daily driving, a lot of owners might never even have to plug it in. Then you've got the reality on the other. Building a car company is, without a doubt, one of the most cash-hungry businesses in the world. And let's be clear, the dream is incredibly popular. I mean, look at this. By the time of their latest report, Aptera had racked up over 49,000 reservations. That is a huge signal from the market that people are hungry for a completely new kind of vehicle. People want this. But, wanting something and actually building it are two very, very different things. Yeah, because this is what it costs. Just to get through their last fiscal year, they posted a net loss of almost $44 million. This number isn't just a number. It represents the immense cost of all the engineering, the tooling, the development, all before a single car has actually been sold. It's the price tag for turning that solar dream into steel, carbon fiber, and silicon. Okay, so let's dig into the first major hurdle they really had to clear. In this most recent phase, Aptera had to prove it to go from being, let's be honest, a really cool science project to a company with actual factory discipline. This is where things get real. So what's really important to understand here is the difference between prototypes and production. See, building a one-off concept car is one thing, but this past year was all about them starting to assemble validation vehicles using the real parts from their actual suppliers. They're not just testing the car anymore, they're testing the whole process of how it's going to be built on a real assembly line. And this just lays out the grind perfectly. You start with those hand-built concepts, then you move to a real validation assembly line. From there, you have to survive the absolutely brutal world of durability and crash testing to meet federal safety standards. And only then, after all of that, can you even get the green light for production. Every single one of these steps is a massive operational and financial hurdle to clear. Of course, clearing all those technical hurdles requires something even more important than engineering: cash. And a whole lot of it. For a company like Aptera that isn't selling anything yet, this means trying to cross that infamous startup valley of death, that giant chasm between having a great product and having the money to actually start making it. So what is the magic number? How much capital does Aptera need just to get its first low-volume production line up and running there in Carlsbad, California? We're not talking about scaling to 1 million cars here. This is just to get the very first customer cars built. So here's the breakdown. The company's been pretty open about this. They need about $50 million for this first big push. Now, according to their own filings, they've got around $9.6 million in cash, and they just managed to raise another $17.1 million. That's great, for sure, a really solid step. But you do the math. That still leaves a gap, a big one, of about $24 million. And that gap needs to be filled before the real production clock can even start ticking. And Aptera is being totally crystal clear about this. This is a direct quote from their SEC filing, and it says everything. That timeline they've talked about, it isn't a promise. It's a possibility, and it is 100% dependent on them getting more funding. In fact, this dependency is so serious that their own auditor issued what's called a going concern opinion, which is basically accounting language for, we have substantial doubt this company can stay in business without a big injection of new cash. So let's say they do it. They close that $24 million gap. Well, the race is far from over. Securing that money just gets them to the starting line. Now we've got to look at the even longer road ahead. As you look down the road, 3 big hurdles really stand out. First, you've got legal stuff, like the ongoing Aptera lawsuit over patent infringement. Second is supply chain risk. I mean, the company is really relying on single-source partners like Chery for some key parts. And third, you guessed it, more capital. To really scale up to high-volume production, they're going to need at least another $140 million on top of everything else. Okay, but Aptera isn't just sitting around waiting for checks. They're making some really smart, strategic moves. Just recently, their main facility in Carlsbad got designated as a foreign trade zone. Now you might be thinking, so what? Well, here's why that's a big deal. For a company that's burning through cash like this, every single dollar you can save on building each car is absolutely critical. This FTZ status lets them delay or even completely get rid of customs duties on parts they import. What does that mean in the real world? Better profit margins, right from the very first car that rolls off the line. It's a savvy move. This timeline really puts the whole journey into perspective. You can see how each step just triggers the next one. First, they've got to secure that $24 million gap. Once that happens, the company figures it'll take another 12 to 18 months to actually start making cars. And only after that can they even start the marathon of trying to raise the $140 million plus they need to truly scale up. So that brings us to the final and really the most critical question of all. Aptera's entire identity is built around efficiency, in its design, its aerodynamics, its energy use. But the real test, the ultimate test, is whether that incredible product efficiency is enough to overcome the brutal inefficiency of a pre-revenue company's cash burn. It is a race they absolutely have to win. This analysis was brought to you by HDIN Research. For a full teardown of the 10K, be sure to visit www.hdinresearch.com.